Welcome to my first YouTube video. My name is Fabian, you can also call me Fabs. I'm from Austria, Vienna, and I studied English literature in England, and I've just graduated from the University of York this summer, and my plan now is to become a writer. I know this is going to be really difficult, but this is what I want to do with my life. So the reason why I want to do a YouTube channel is because I want to share my stories with you, the ones I have written in the past, and I think this is especially important in a world where you consume all the time and where you stop listening and use your imagination less and less. And when I start reading, all you have to do is really listening and imagine the story. And I wrote this story when I was about 13 years old, so that was also the time when I became serious about writing and becoming a writer. And the story is called The Northern Lights. Far in the north, a snowstorm raged. It was winter in the Arctic. The snow was carried by the wind up and down. Finally, the storm ceased and the clouds opened up to reveal the stars. Billions of planets and stars danced in the sky. They shimmered from time to time. Suddenly, a great lightning shone over the sky and flickered in green, yellow, and purple colors. It was the Northern Lights. The winter elapsed and the months passed by, and as every year in spring the sun appeared again and the ice shone in bright yellow colors. Underneath the snow there was something moving. Snow was thrown aside and the sleepy polar bear looked out of a hole. She had big black eyes, white glittering fur, and big paws that were designed to tear seals apart. She squeezed herself out of the little hole and rolled around happily in the snow. But suddenly she was alarmed. There was a crackle to be heard from the ground and then a loud crack. The ice is melting quicker than in the past few years, the polar bear growled. Then she called strictly, "Come on, you two. We have a long way ahead of us. We are in a hurry. The ice is already melting." And there, out of the hole, came two polar bear babies. One of them was slightly bigger than the other one. Her eyes were just as big as her mother's, and she had sharp claws. The female baby polar bear's name was Pointyclaw. The little one was a male and had big ears. His fur was very soft, fluffy, and snow white. His eyes were smaller, but he already had some sharp teeth in his mouth. His name was Whitetooth. He toddled towards his mother Whitelight. She lowered her head and licked both of them. "But we are still hungry," Pointyclaw protested. "No, if we don't leave now, the ice will be gone. Come." So the three polar bears walked into the white desert. On and on they went for nearly a day. Whitetooth called out exhausted, "Mom, I cannot go any longer. Can we have a break?" "Yes," the polar bear growled. She lay down exhausted in the soft snow and fed her babies. Finally it became night and the polar bears watched the Milky Way and the Northern Lights. It glowed with many colors and danced around the Milky Way. Next morning their journey to the hunting grounds continued. They traveled over snow hills and snow valleys. After a while they saw more and more ice blocks that protruded out of the ground. They glittered in blue, violet, and yellow colors. There were many of them in different forms and shapes. Small ones with sharp edges, faces, or wave-like fingers. Big ice blocks with holes. In some of them there were even little caves to be found. The three passed by slowly and with dignity. Pointyclaw, the more curious of the two of them, looked up and asked her mother quietly, "Who are these great creatures?" "They are our ancestors. They have watched over the polar bears for a long time, and one day we will freeze and transform into ice sculptures as well." "You mean, when we are dead we will turn into these statues?" Whitetooth wanted to know. "Yes, but for some time now, some of the sculptures just melt away. The polar bears do not know why this happens, but the birds tell us, as I have heard from one of them, that there are strange creatures in the south who create grey fog and billions of little stars that make the ice melt away. And so, they take our home." The polar bear looked seriously at her children. Suddenly, the wind changed directions and carried a strange but also familiar scent to the three of them. Whitelight sniffed and went up and down. Then she stopped and said concerned, "Your father is coming. Hide in the cave over there. I want to speak to him alone." Whitetooth and Pointyclaw ran into a little cave from where they could observe what was about to happen. Finally, in the distance, a white silhouette was approaching Whitelight. She started walking towards him and called, "Iceheart, what are you doing during the hunting season here in the north?" I came to tell you that I hid a seal for you in the south. The ice is nearly gone. I have only caught 3 seals, he said in a deep voice. He looked worried and went up and down. His fur was snow white. Only in some parts it was slightly blue. His nose was big, which he pointed upwards and sniffed. Do you want to see your children? Whitelight asked mockingly. No, thank you. I am alone and I do not want to waste any time. I'll go south again. Goodbye, Whitelight. Goodbye, Iceheart, both of them said cool and sadly. 2 days had passed, and for 1 day Whitelight didn't have any milk for the children. Whitetooth was especially weak. He coughed and needed something to eat. Finally they reached the south. There were ice floes everywhere. Whitelight said in a serious tone, Both of you stay here. I look for food. What about the seal father hid for you? Pointyclaw wanted to know. Most of the ice fields melted away. It is probably on the bottom of the sea, she whispered sadly. Whitelight quickly said goodbye and ran towards the melting sea. When she arrived, she spotted the seal immediately. She was about to jump, but the ice broke under her weight instantly. She swam to a larger ice floe, but this one broke as well. The same happened about 20 times. At the end of the day, she was worn out and returned exhausted to her children. Pointyclaw was crying in the snow and howled full of sorrow. Whitelight ran to Pointyclaw. Next to her was lying the lifeless body of Whitetooth. Whitelight carried him to a snow hollow and buried him there. Then she said to Pointyclaw, who looked very skinny and weak as well, I will try again tomorrow. Then both of them cuddled together and fell asleep. Like every night, the northern lights flickered around the Milky Way, and far in the north a little ice sculpture grew in the snow. It looked like a big tooth looking over the ice. Next morning both felt their incredible hunger, but Whitelight went for one more hunt with all her strength. But the ice was even thinner and less than on the day before. It was the same. The ice broke constantly under her heavy body. All her polar bear strength taken away from her, she returned to her child that had died of cold and hunger. She picked up her dead daughter and disappeared in the snow. And above her glowed the stars and the northern lights. So this was the first short story I wanted to share with you. I hope you enjoyed listening. Feel free to leave any comments. I would really look forward to see some comments and just see what you think. And also, of course, if you want to listen to some more short stories, then please subscribe to my YouTube channel. And in my second video I will talk about this short story, The Northern Lights, and then simply read out the second short story. So thanks for watching and hopefully see you soon.